We transformed the conventional school. What does it promote? Child-centered, active, participatory, and cooperative learning. Nothing new in philosophy, but this you do not see in low-income schools. Different learning rhythms. Flexible systems of promotion and calendars and grading. So we had to modularize the whole curriculum to introduce flexibility. Immediately, dropout rates and repetition rates were reduced. Different learning rhythms in the classroom. Relevance in the curriculum. If children do not learn to apply knowledge to their families and communities, there's no learning. All this is common sense, it's just that it doesn't happen. A new role of the teacher, but the teacher spends the time in a more intelligent way as a facilitator instead of just giving instruction and information, not a transmitter of facts. We have that in books or in computers. The role of the teacher has to be a much more intelligent role. Facilitator, catalyst, motivator. Improve teaching practices. We had to change the way the training was done with the teachers, so the teachers, we could spark teachers so that they could live the same methodologies, because we have these horrible conferences in our educational universities talking about active learning. Training methodologies similar to those that they will use with their students, so experiential training for teachers. Close relationship between school and community. Parents are involved. You have to apply knowledge to the parents and to the family. Nothing new either. Interaction between teachers, parents, and children. Not just meetings. Parents involved in the learning process. Emphasis on the formation of democratic and participatory values. By the way, we had evaluations from everywhere. UNESCO, we were the best rural education in Latin America, where rural schools perform better than the urban schools, after Cuba that has long-term policies and it's much smaller goals. But we also, University of London published 2 years ago, the impact of Escuela on peaceful behavior, democratic behavior, and this coming out of Colombia is extremely important. Girls' participation, I had a little video on girls' participation. Children learn how to elect. They have their committees, they have their student governments elections. Happy, competent students. We have measured self-esteem, and when you have improved self-esteem, you learn. And a new generation of interactive, self-paced, self-directed learning. This is key. They're reusable materials. They can remain in the school for 10 years. They're for both the teachers, for parents, for children. This is our key product. Because learning takes place through dialogue and interaction. You construct knowledge. You don't transmit knowledge, you construct knowledge. This has tremendous, profound dimensions in democratic processes. And considering that India is the biggest democracy of the world, and Colombia the first democracy in Latin America, I think it's very important. Learning guides that promote individual work, collaborative and group work, promoting interaction. You learn to dialogue. If you don't see each other's eyes, you don't learn how to dialogue. Working in pairs, promoting dialogue. Learning corners that bring alive the activities of the learning materials. And especially, you strengthen cultural identity. This is very important. They bring in all the knowledge of the community into the school. Stories, poems, everything. Children need concrete materials. So yesterday when I was learning about the mobile laboratories, I was thinking how to link all these things with very, very concrete, low-cost materials in the classroom. Little classroom libraries, less than $100 per classroom, but you have to have them closed so that they learn to learn. Self-control of assistants. Teachers spend a long time calling names. Empowering children. It's a process of empowering children. So they self-control their attendance. It's so simple. Commitments that they have. So it generates a new culture of peace and citizenship, allowing for boys and girls to learn, participate, empowering them and their communities. Of course, I'm showing in the classroom, but it's also in the community and also with the teacher training. So it impacts the whole system. In children, improve scholastic skills, confidence and self-esteem. Teachers, improve teaching practices, job satisfaction, positive attitude, peer support and networking. We're creating a learning network with new technologies. We're in that process of certification. Families and communities, they have to participate. And the most difficult to change the education administrators, but there is a change. So it's one of the largest, longest bottom-up innovations that has survived despite political changes. Innovations are very vulnerable to political changes and has been sustained. But we had to do it because we had to create an institution to sustain the national policy and also to bring in private sectors, like I mentioned, the petroleum and the coffee growers. Simple, effective, very cost efficient, and the results are manifold. Academic, learning skills, democratic behavior, self-esteem. It is possible. We challenged massively a change of paradigm shift, and which I said is not new. The child-centered participatory, and this is what we did. It's not only sitting them together, it's having the rest of the support system. So, well, this is just ideas, Escuela Nueva in the sandbox. You know, we have to understand that it's, without quality basic education, the rest of your goals in health, in environment, in agriculture cannot be sustained. This is key. So this is why it's so important, of course. And the whole concept of social participation crosses the whole model of Escuela Nueva. This we can discuss in the afternoon, how the concept of social participation sustains innovations. So this is why I feel that this can be an interesting process of cooperation alliance. That's it. Thank you very much.
Vicki, can you just quickly talk again about how you work with government? Because I think Vicki's is one of the most interesting examples of an innovation outside of government that then gets pushed back in and then comes out. But how did you get government to adopt?
Well, I actually, I'm a co-author with another rural teacher. We started getting the innovation within this government, within the state, as a local innovation. We couldn't do it through the ministry, thank God, so we had to start bottom up. And had something to show, and it had, of course, evaluations and results, very solid evaluations. And once we had something to show in one region of Colombia, we got into 2 other regions of Colombia, and it was a bottom-up process. Then it was adopted as a national policy in Colombia. So that's the way. Local innovation becomes a national policy. And this happened also in Brazil and in other countries. But we also learned that to sustain the quality of the model, then once I left, I ended up being, had a high position in the ministry after that, not because of political reasons, but because we had results. And this helped us very much. So once I left the ministry, I said, oh my God, this is not going to be sustained. So I created the NGO. It's the other way around. And I had to bring in the private sector to support. So this is...
Didn't you also have a lower cost model than they were?
Oh, definitely. I mean, one of the most important things is to have measurement, evaluations, demonstrate results and costs. We have fortunately in Colombia, we have the National Planning Office, which has it's long-term policy planning. So that sustains policies and impacts policies despite government changes. So this was a key element because we had cost effectiveness. The World Bank came in. Once it selected it as an important international policy for other developing countries, we got 35 countries coming in. So all this helped to maintain the policy and also to impact and influence the policy. But if we had not had measurement, if we had not had results, if we had not demonstration sites to show, we could not have influenced national policy. And then, of course, I'll share this afternoon the problems we had. In the 90s, it was dropped, simply because it was the horse that won the race. So then there are other priorities. Then it cannot be sustained. So we had to get it back into the picture. International congresses, bringing the results again, mobilizing public opinion, and that's what I'm in the process of doing at the moment. So this is an interesting process of how to impact and sustain policies. But you definitely need public-private partnerships.
Thank you. Jean-Claude is here from Spain, and he is doing something entirely different again. I'm going to let you describe it so I don't take any of your